I talk all the time to people in intelligence services around the world. It's part of my job as a journalist. And the thing that I found fascinating was when I started investigating the UAP issue and started reaching out, particularly in America, I was expecting people just to go, you know what, this is just rubbish, Ross. You don't know what you're talking about. Why are you writing a book on this? This is rubbish. Instead, what I found was that there were people at quite senior levels, former and serving, operating in intelligence and defense and national security all around the world, who actually said to me, "Oh, Ross, fantastic. A credible journalist is prepared to investigate the phenomenon. This is really good. Let us help you. We're really keen to see this talked about because we're puzzled that people aren't following the clues and looking at what's there under their noses in plain sight. It's there. Just read the history. Look at what the CIA has published, largely, by the way, as a result of pressure that came from John Podesta when he was the chief of staff for Bill Clinton. You know, they pushed inside the Clinton White House for disclosure of what was known historically. What people don't realize is that the historical documents that have now been released by the NSA, the CIA, the DIA, they show a completely different counterfactual history to that that's been presented to the world over the past 70 plus years. For 70 plus years, we've been told UFOs, UAPs are not a national security issue. They don't pose a flight safety risk, that 97% of them or whatever can be prosaically explained with natural phenomena or, and it's clearly not the case. And we now know that behind the scenes, they've secretly been running programs to investigate the phenomenon. And one of the allegations in my book is that there is indeed a program in existence in the United States, which has been operating secretly now for decades, where the United States is actively trying to back-engineer recovered non-human technology.
Our first UFO recoveries were in the late 30s. We made a couple in the beginning of the 40s, and then came Roswell, which the public found out about. We got 2 live aliens. One died shortly thereafter. One lived until 1956. We found out that so far there are 18 different alien species that we know about monitoring Earth. Some are good, some are hostile. Most are indifferent. We found out that we are the experimenter product, if you will, of an alien race who we never met. All we know is that the Greys are cybernetic organisms who work here at the behest of their employers, monitoring us through. Abductions occur on a daily basis throughout the United States to at least 10% of the population. 10% of the population. The deal was struck that in exchange for advanced technology from the aliens, we would allow them to abduct a very small number of persons, and we would be periodically given a list of those persons abducted. We got something less than the technology we bargained for and found that the abductions exceeded by a million-fold 10% of the population. What we had naively agreed to. In 1954, President Eisenhower met with a representative of another alien species at the Iraq Test Center, now called Edwards Air Force Base. This alien suggested that they could help us get rid of the Greys, but Eisenhower turned down their offer because they offered no technology. Shortly after this, it was determined at meetings between the U.S. and Russians that the situation was serious enough that a Cold War should be manufactured as a ruse to divert attention of the public away from UFOs and towards some other threat, the H-bomb. It was also decided to keep the ruse secret from any elected or appointed official within both the U.S. and Russian government. In the late 1950s, NASA was formed to compartmentalize and sanitize information from all space platforms and vehicles. The cover-up and the personnel to run the operation began to get bigger and bigger and required more and more money. We were enforced to inflate the defense budget. Then we got into the drug business, which was still not enough. These are 5-second slides of the 18 different alien species. The guards in one facility are carefully indoctrinated over a period of several months, being shown pictures similar to, but not exactly like the alien. Before these acclimatations were done, we had 2 guards die of a heart attack as these aliens came down the hallway unexpectedly. The object that you're looking at now is the Kecksburg Acorn, brought to Wright Pat in the middle 60s. That film is of dead aliens being pulled from the wreckage of their craft that crashed into Lancer, California in the 50s, supposedly from Tau Ceti. That craft you see over there was over 250 feet in diameter and had to be buried on the spot. These pictures you're looking at now are the structures on the moon. That's the tower in Sinus Medai. It's over 7 miles tall. And that thing there is what we call the Colossus of Durham in Noricus Science. We don't know what it does, but the machine itself is bigger than Brooklyn, New York.
Now, I don't make that allegation lightly, and I've been waiting for somebody from the United States government to deny it. And I keep on saying it and saying it and saying it because I have sources on the record who've admitted it. And the interesting thing is, nobody's denying it. The US government is evading answering this question. Has it recovered non-human, alien technology? And are we at the moment secretly, you as taxpayers, funding a secret program that is essentially investigating how to back engineer this highly advanced technology?
I mean,
I
Ross, we
believe
clearly are. We clearly are. There's too many breadcrumbs that show that. I mean, nitinol was discovered in a naval ordnance lab, 4 years after the crash at Roswell? We're constantly discovering new metamaterials, strange metals. I mean, they're being published as if we have the stuff already and we're just trying to figure it out. I mean, technology has, quadrupled every year, 2 years, something like that. I can understand one black swan scientific event happening, but not one every day. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, humans are very ingenious. I mean, I think we can be proud of what modern science has achieved in the last 100 to 150 years. But yeah, I mean, the pace of technological change is just incredible. And yeah, I mean, I've spoken to people who said that whilst the Corso book, which talked about seeding different American corporations with technology, was misleadingly written in that it made assertions about things that weren't entirely accurate. I'm told that it is the case that some corporations have been given access to technology and encouraged to find ways of back engineering it. And the problem now, this is the really interesting thing, is that companies that previously thought this was all rubbish, they've now realized that for decades they've been operating at a disadvantage because they weren't in the loop. They weren't being given that same access. Right. And so you've had the US government playing favorites with defense contractors, where they've been allowing favored corporations like Battelle, like Lockheed Martin, to basically be seeded with this technology, I suspect. And now the interesting thing is that there are other corporations that are saying, well, hang on a moment, what about us? Right. You know, where's the righteousness in the government basically playing favorites? And I think this is part of the issue, is that there've been so many lies and so much essentially process corruption that's gone on to facilitate this scientific investigation that ultimately it's now coming to light. And the problem that we have is that the one thing about the scientific method that I do admire is that what drives good science is the sharing of ideas. If it is the case that there is a secret program, and I suspect there is, operating inside the private aerospace and also inside the United States government, that's researching this issue, then part of the reason why, I'm told, it hasn't made huge gains, part of the reason why we're not propelling our craft with free energy or anti-gravity systems, which we know must surely exist because the technology is flying in our skies. Somebody's doing it. The reason why that's not public yet is because we haven't been able to crack it. And I've spoken to scientists who purport to have been part of what they refer to colloquially as the program, and they admit that they were given access to what they described as bits of technology, very, very heavily compartmentalized secret programs where they were trying to back engineer things that they were shown.